removing some rivets here in the bus, and some of them will come out in the traditional way, which is first you push the pin inside, and when you have the pin inside, you come in with this blade and you cut off the head of the rivet. And then another way to do this, as Wes Lewis taught me, is that you bring in the big guys. So you push the pin in and you drill the head of the rivet inside. So this is going to remove the whole head. So this is the wheel well for the front wheel, the turning wheels, and this is just what it needs to move around to do the turning radius. And that was just a fiberglass. What we need is to get here, and from here we might insulate this whole area later, and then put our own cabinet or something that goes on top of this. So a bunch of these cables are this is a box for compressed air. So if you can see here, some of those things go to the bag. So that's the suspension bag that makes the front of the bus go up and down. This one I think is aux. So I think this comes from the tank, the auxiliary tank, and then those other two are for other things that use air in the bus. I'm assuming one of those make the wheelchair lift off, and the other one must be something else. I don't know what it is, but we're not touching this box. All those wires, they go all the way back into the panel that is in the other side, and they get controlled by some of the computers and some of the switches that we have there. So not touching those. Right, today we're removing all this trash from inside of the bus. We have my small big brother Eduardo here, making sure that I get everything done. Thanks for showing up. And
well, he only calls me when there's a lot.
I only call him when there's a lot of brute force required.
Yeah, this bus.
Got so much weight on my shoulders, enough to knock me out, but I'm still holding the throne. You'll never know till it's over. So pretty it hurts, just beware of the thorns. You got a glimpse, and you can't resist, luring you in closer. Guess I got a jinx. You want an honest man, but you don't understand. I won't be here when you wake up.
All right, this was demolition. Things that I learned in this process. It is a very physical activity. There was a lot of heavy things to lift to get out of the bus. A ton of things were glued, ton of things were like screwed in, riveted in. So you gotta like kind of like take your time and go through them, because everything is super tightly connected and there are a lot of wires going through everything. So one or two things that I learned in this process was, first of all, you gotta move in your speed. Some days you're really tired and there is a lot of physical activity, so you kind of like take it easy in that day. Move slowly but move always. I got personally very frustrated many times, because this process that you guys just saw in like a 10-minute video, that took like probably more than a week, maybe 10 days, I would say. So I don't have a full time to work on this bus, so I work on it whenever I have a little bit of time. So that is a frustration management thing. The other thing that I learned is that there, especially on this platform, this bus, there is a lot of wires. There were a ton of tech gadgets in there that usually you don't find on regular school buses. My previous school bus had nothing like this amount of wires. I ended up shrinking down the full harness at the end by 50%. So I could manage and remove 50% of those wires, and that were a lot. At the end of the day, we had to rent a U-Haul. I think it was a 14 or 17 feet U-Haul truck, and it was full. By the time we got to the dump station, they weigh you in and weigh you out. We had almost 4,000 pounds of stuff that we threw away. So keep in mind that your bus is gonna get very skinny. The other thing to keep in mind here is that there is no way, I believe, there is no way to do this all at once. So I got in, we did like a first phase of demolition, and then we kept everything on the outside here. And then we did another phase, and that phase was for the wires and everything. It was more careful. And then I was going in even further to like the actual skin of the bus. I did not touch the floor. The floor on this bus was very good, and is made out of this naval plywood. I think it's 3/4 of an inch or 1 inch. I'm not sure, but it was great. This thing was solid from under. They spray like a rubberized coat under it, and on the top they have like this thick plastic rubber solution that they put on the floor, and that was also great. So we decided not to touch, because if you remove that plywood, there is nothing under. It's literally the ground. So if I remove any of that, I'll have to just replace the whole plywood. In some very little cases where we're going to remove the steps, that will leave a hole, and then I'll have to replace that, but that is for the future. Right now, behind me, you can see still like a bunch of thrashing here, and that's like still from the phase of demolition. After this first phase, we went over to the AC in the back, and then there were more things in the front. So it was kind of like a non-stop demolition plus figuring out the bus infrastructure thing. So I hope you liked it. I hope you could learn something and laugh a little bit of our struggle. And thank you, Eduardo, my brother, for the help. And we'll see you on the next one.